This is just a quick book placement, product placement for my books under the author name Derek Hemingway. First, we have the first installment in The Human Saga, which is my epic trilogy of novellas about a future civilization of corporate fascism that is being invaded by an alien cult. We have The Mortician's Daughter, a dark fantasy set in Mesoamerica about a sorceress who blocks out the sun to create a kingdom of darkness and evil, full of ghosts and monsters. It's fucking awesome. Part 2 of the Human Saga, and then Part 3. There's currently my first full-length novel in the works, so be on the lookout for that. That's about all. Song Snob Reacts. Hello everyone, welcome back to Nathan's Song Snob channel, complete with Nintendo Switch. Today we'll be reacting to a sort of unique rapper, Adam Calhoun. In that, generally speaking, most white rappers generally try to at least try and look hip-hop. He doesn't really make any effort to do that. He looks like a whole-ass tattoo-covered redneck. He's just being himself, you know, he's being different. I like different. Maybe that's why I always enjoyed Goldust and Finn Balor in WWE, because they're definitely different. They're also a little weird. And no, I didn't like Stardust. I didn't. Because he was just riffing on Goldust. But, like, you know, lame. But with that being said, Adam Calhoun Pictures is the song for today. So, let us proceed in about 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and go.
These are things I see when flipping through my phone. Am I the same man as the pictures in my home? Get crucified by some, others put me on the throne. Am I just some voice that you hearing on a song? That white boy ain't the best at rap cause he ain't black. They say that we take from them and never gave back. They keep talking shit, cultural appropriation. I'm white, so I'm racist by association. Shit weighs heavy, I guess words can be deadly. I grew up watching Belly, listening to Machiavelli. We ain't cut the same, I'm vintage, there ain't shit to tell me. How you talking gangster shit, you never had a celly. You a victim, I'm a villain, did my bit, I was in prison. Just a kid, I grew up, you a bitch, you move off of your feelings. Off this music I make millions, I'm the best at what I do, I'm pretty sure I hit my ceiling. I wanna thank the white rappers for making us a gimmick. Like you ain't dope if you don't rap 1,000 words a minute, shit's different. I guess lyrics get neglected, gotta dance for the black man, rap fast to get respected. These are things I see when flipping through my phone. Am I the same man as the pictures in my home? Get crucified by some, others put me on the throne. Am I just some voice that you hearing on a song? These are things I see when flipping through my phone. Am I the same man as the pictures in my home? Get crucified by some, others put me on the throne. Am I just some voice that you hearing on a song? You weren't there with me when I was sleeping on the floor. I was dirt poor, caught my first case in '04. Fast forward, I'm a legend while I'm living. My fans fuck with me cause I can't stand a fucking liberal. You think we free, that's a lie. We ain't freed the slaves yet. Every black man with money got a chain on his neck. Every time I get paid, they take money from my check. They don't give it to vets, just kids with student debt. I'm the one that had the balls to say it first. You saw that it worked and started drawing up a verse. How you gonna steal from me and make it sound worse? How you gonna hear me rap and say I sound like these are things I think about when flipping through my phone. Just got off a call with Tom, he said leave that shit alone. I focus on the things from people I don't even know. I walk alone so much I think I lost part of my soul. These are things I see when flipping through my phone. Am I the same man as the pictures in my home? Get crucified by some, others put me on the throne. Am I just some voice that you hearing on a song? These are things I see when flipping through my phone. Am I the same man as the pictures in my home? Get crucified by some, others put me on the throne. Am I just some voice that you hearing on a song?
Good song, but I find it mildly torturous because, well, for some reason I just have a hard time listening to anything with a very low BPM. Maybe because, like, when I was, 12, 14, I was listening to a lot of speed metal, or at least very fast rock and roll. Eddie Van Halen, Bachman Turner Overdrive, Megadeth. So, generally speaking, anytime there's, music of any genre that feels too slow, I kind of feel like taking a sledgehammer to my brain. Because it's almost like torture. Like, I can't take it. This was just a little too slow for me. I mean, he got what he was saying about the gimmick rapping, about, rapping 1,000 words per minute or whatever. I understand his objection, but I think this is too far the other way for me. I can't stand slow music. It is like literal torture for me. True story. But this is a good song. It could stand to be a little faster. He didn't really syncopate much with the beat. He was almost perfectly in time with the beat. All of his words and word usage fell right within the timing of the music. The beat itself was pretty decent. It's just a little slow. I suppose in a way you could call this vaguely relaxing, in a backward sort of way, but not necessarily relaxing. All in all, the beat was good, just a little slow. He stayed within the beat. The timing was all but perfect, maybe a bit mechanical. I kind of feel like this song would fade into the background if you were doing literally anything else. Like, it wouldn't necessarily catch your attention unless you were purposely paying attention to it. Which is not a point in its favor. It's not necessarily the most attention-grabbing rap song ever. The beat is slow. The timing does not syncopate. It's actually fairly quiet. So that isn't necessarily a point in its favor. Not much else I can really say about it, other than, yeah. So I would probably rate this at a 4 out of 5 feels about right. 4 out of 5 feels about right. It just needs to draw more attention to itself than it does. Especially if he's trying to make any kind of message with the song. If it's not just a song, and that there's an actual point to it that he's trying to make, then he needs to be more attention-grabbing. As I adjust my hair, because I'm in the awkward middle phase of growing it out. So, we're going to do the lyrical breakdown phase that I always do. I know some people are annoyed with it, but I don't care. This is just what I do. There's, other YouTube channels you can watch, man, if you don't like what I do, dude. With that being said, these are things I see when flipping through my phone. Am I the same man as the pictures in my home? Get crucified by some others, put me on the throne. Am I just some voice that you're hearing on a song? If you'll notice in the actual audio, he flips the pronunciation of song slightly to song to try and rhyme it with throne. There's a similar attempt by Megadeth in the song "I'll Never Let You Walk Alone," where Dave Mustaine flips the pronunciation of the word sown to son to rhyme it with the word long. Some people are going to find that annoying. I do find that kind of annoying. But if you're trying to fit into an appropriate rhyme scheme, then flipping the pronunciation slightly, it's a bit of a musical quirk. But it works and it makes sense. But the meaning here is he's asking us if he's really the same man as the pictures in his home. Does he meet with the face he puts on when he's on display? Or is he someone else in his private moments? Who is he when he's alone? Well, who are any of us when we're alone, really? Some people, they like to hide behind a mask, and sometimes they get drunk, the mask tends to slip, and the real them comes out. When I get drunk, I'm just more me than I normally am. I'm not really hiding anything. Pretty much what you see is what you get. But that's not the same for everyone, certainly not. In fact, most people, it seems like it's the opposite. Get crucified by some, others put me on the throne. So basically that's the divide of people who hate him and people who love him. It's the let's go Cena, Cena sucks phenomenon. Again, referencing professional wrestling. I guess I'm just in a mood to make those references. And in case you're wondering, I'm one of the OGs of Cena sucks. I am one of the OGs of Cena sucks. I was saying it all the way back in 2006. And I wasn't even all that into wrestling at the time yet. I wasn't even that into it and I was already saying it. But yeah, he's crucified by his Adam sucks people, and then put on a throne by the Let's Go Adam people. Am I just some voice that you're hearing on a song? He's basically asking the listener if he's really a person to them or if he's just a voice on a song. I'd say for me it's probably a little of both. I hear the voice on the song, but I also hear the person too. I'm sort of unique that way. Here we go for some more controversial lyrics. That white boy ain't the best at rap 'cause he ain't black. They say that we take from them and never gave back. They keep talking shit, cultural appropriation. I'm white, so I'm racist by association. Well, that's the guilt by association fallacy. And contrary to how some people might try to argue, it is true. I've met people who think that way. That white is synonymous with racist. That they use the guilt by association fallacy. It is a logical fallacy where we would say that, oh, well, you know, the Nazis were super into like nature conservation. So we should chop down those evil racist trees and kill all the evil racist animals. Or do you finally admit that association is not a legitimate transmitter of guilt? Right? Is it wrong for North Korea to put people in prison for the crimes of their grandparents, for example, which is something they do? If you accept guilt by association, then to be consistent, you would have to have no objection to that. So the person who thinks white is synonymous with racism will therefore, in order to be consistent, should have no objection to North Korea imprisoning people for the crimes of their grandparents. And they should be wanting to chop down trees and kill animals because Nazis tried to protect them. If they were consistent. And then, of course, because of that guilt by association fallacy, we see them thinking like, they use terms like we and us and you in the generalized sense, as if all people in a certain category are the same. Right. Jeffrey Dahmer was white, so is Adam Calhoun the same as Jeffrey Dahmer? Am I the same as Jeffrey Dahmer? Am I the same as Ted Bundy? Obviously not, because I don't kill people. I don't rape and murder people. That's a further extension of the fallacy present. But people who are intellectually lazy will continue to use it and act as though it's legitimate. It's not. And as for saying that, white people suck at rap because they're what? Because they're not black. Well, that's just casual racism. It's not a serious form of racism, but it is casual racism, for sure. It is a clear implicit bias. So Adam's talking the real shit right now. Shit weighs heavy. I guess words can be deadly. I grew up watching Belly listening to Machiavelli. We ain't cut the same. I'm vintage. There ain't shit to tell me. How are you talking gangster shit you never had? So, words can be deadly? Not really. They can hurt you. They can feel like you've been punched in the stomach. I know that feeling myself all too well. Having been harassed several times over the course of many years, I know what that feels like, but it's not really the same thing as death. It's hard to describe what exactly it's like. I have no idea what Belly or Betty is, and I barely am aware of Machiavelli, so that's shit I don't even know about. So I don't have much to say about that. We ain't cut the same, I'm vintage. Well, vintage means that something is aged to its prime, like a fine wine, basically. So he's saying that he's in his prime and he's hitting a stride and all that. And there's nothing you can say to him that'll derail him, because he's established. How are you talking gangster shit you never had? Well, I'm sure once again he's attacking people for that fake persona because the gangster persona is popular, so maybe they fake it for attention. It really just depends on who you are, I suppose. Some feel the need to put on a mask, others really don't. You a victim, I'm a villain, did my bit, I was in prison. Just a kid up, I grew up. You a bitch, you move off your feelings. Feelings off this music, I make millions. So yeah, there are people who like to pretend that they're the victim. They have the victim narrative, the victim mentality. And to maintain that narrative, they always have to have someone they can point to and say, you did it, And if you fall into that, once again, guilt by association fallacy, you'll end up pointing the finger at someone who actually never did anything to you personally. At the core of it, you just don't like them because of the color of their skin. Or because of some other thing, like their ethnicity or where they're from. You see them as part of a amorphous evil group that you've learned to dehumanize in your own mind. But yeah, Adam was in prison. He did a crime. He did his bit. They paid the price for his misbehavior. He grew up the hard way in certain ways. And he's calling other people a bitch for whining. They should get off their feelings. And what he does makes him millions. That's not much more needs to be said about that. On the best of what I do, I'm pretty sure I hit the ceiling. I want to thank the white rappers for making us a gimmick. Like you ain't dope if you don't rap 1,000 words a minute. Well, I don't think anybody really likes being a gimmick. Some cheap thing to get attention. Creating a gimmick is fine. It gets people to pay attention to whatever it is you're doing. A clever gimmick to get attention. But at the same time, it can be sort of dehumanizing and depersonalizing. Make you into a token rather than something of actual value or meaning. And of course, limiting yourself to one style of rap or one style of any music, that in itself is very stupid. It doesn't make room for growth or personal expression. It sort of pigeonholes you in. That's sort of like, I think it was a song by Devin Townsend where he didn't want to be pigeonholed as a heavy metal guy anymore and wanted to write musicals because he loves that shit. So Adam's sort of trying to escape the pigeonhole of white rapper and rapping 1,000 words a minute.
and he wants to be his own authentic self. And that is all over this guy. The way he expresses himself, the way he dresses while rapping, his approach to everything. He wants to be his own authentic self. And hey, more power to you. That's great. You should always be yourself. As much as possible. Shit's different. I guess lyrics get neglected. Gotta dance for the black man. Rap fast to get respected. Well, yeah, everybody wants you to jump through hoops, to do things their way if you want their respect. Honestly, earning respect is important, but comes a time when earning that respect comes with a bit of a high price tag. That being the sacrifice of your own authenticity. You shouldn't have to dance for anyone. You should be respected for being your goddamn self. So obviously just repeat the first verse from earlier. A couple verse or chorus repeats, not too many. Good number. You weren't there with me when I was sleeping on the floor. I was dirt poor, caught my first case in 04. Fast forward, I'm a legend while I'm living. My fans fuck with me because I can't stand a fucking liberal. Well, liberals have shown over the years that they can behave as like truly horrible people. I have some experience with that as well. Needless to say, I don't want to go into too much detail, but I did have to come out of the closet with some stuff I was experiencing, stuff I was suffering from, and let's just say I didn't get any proper treatment or sympathy from liberals. In fact, I got gaslit because what I was admitting to was inconvenient to their preferred narrative. And as someone who's also an LGBT person, I think you'll find that liberals who quote-unquote support you, there is an ulterior motive attached. They don't actually care about you, they just want to use you. If you examine their actions and look at what they attach to the cause, they absolutely have an ulterior motive. Never trust anyone who has an ulterior motive, because the person they're really trying to help is themselves. And they're just trying to attach you to it. Never trust them even for a second. Even if they treat you like the nicest, they act like the nicest person in the world, that's when you definitely should not trust them. So I can't really stand liberals either. They can be some pretty horrible people. But yeah, now he's talking about his experience of being poor, dirt poor, broke, living in the street, sleeping on the ground. Talking about his first case in 04, I'm assuming a case of a disease, a case of an illness, a case of homelessness, I'm not sure. But fast forward from that low point, now he's a legend while he's alive. Most people don't get to be a legend until they're already dead. He's a famous person while he's alive. From rags to riches, according to him. And those things, contrary to how people think, those things do happen. The chances of them happening are slim, but they do happen. I think that we should maybe not put these individuals on so high a pedestal because they create an unrealistic expectation. But at the same time, who doesn't love a story like Cinderella Man? Or Cinderella? Or Rocky Balboa? Who doesn't enjoy that? But there should be an expectation attached that this will probably never be you. So now he says, you think we free? That's a lie. We ain't freed the slaves yet. Every black man with money got a chain on his neck. Every time I get paid, they take money from my check. They don't give it to vets, just kids with student debt. So now he's obviously talking about the symbolism of chains and taxation, the limits on personal freedom, and the fact that some minorities have this sort of slave mentality where they're basically stuck in the past. They can't live in the present because they've been convinced that the present is the same as the past. It's not. The slaves were freed over 100 years ago. Generally speaking, racism compared to the past is at an all-time low, yet they still continue dwelling on the past. And that is, in a sense, a slave mentality. Many people feel that way. You can disagree if you want. But just think about it this way. Many mentalities, in some cases, we make our own prisons. We create our own limits. There's a Norse myth about the wolf Fenrir being trapped by a ribbon. Except that it specifies clearly that the ribbon is made of things that don't exist. Therefore, how can the wolf be trapped by it if it doesn't exist? The wolf is not trapped by the ribbon. He is trapped by his belief that he is trapped by the ribbon. And, and the same basic principle applies. You are trapped by your belief in the power of that ribbon. And that can happen to anybody. You don't have to be a minority. Anybody can be in a trapped mindset. I'm the one with the balls to say it first. You saw that it worked and started drawing up a verse. How are you going to steal from me and make it sound worse? How are you going to hear me rapping and say I sound like? Well, yeah, this guy definitely has the kahunas, or the cojones, the balls to speak up, the testicles, the testosterone, the sheer gut to stand up to the people out there. And that's always a powerful thing. These are things I think about when flipping through my phone. Just off a call with Tom, he said, leave that shit alone. I focus on the things from people I don't even know. I walk alone so much I think I lost part of my soul. Well, focusing on the things from people you don't even know, I think there's a time and a place to listen to feedback from strangers, and a time and a place to just ignore them. And if they're just harassing you and trying to drag you down, then that is the time to ignore them and move on. You don't want to give that any energy, or else it's going to make you suffer. But when someone's giving you honest feedback or honest criticism, that's the time to listen. If you have honest feedback on my video here, I'll listen. I'll hear you. But if you're just trying to attack me, I'm not going to pay any attention to you at all. It's not worth it. And if I do, I'm probably just going to give it right back to you. I'm going to troll the ever-loving hell out of you. And I guess that last line is really just kind of the loss of being on your own too much. Well, these are some fine-ass lyrics, and they're extremely meaningful. They need to be attached by a song that actually draws more attention to itself. A quiet, slow beat that would kind of fade into the background is not the best fit for this, in my opinion. But who am I to criticize an expert like this who's been rapping for years and years and years? An experienced listener of music, that's who. And if you don't like my criticism, well, we can hash that out. We can talk about it. Like two responsible, reasonable adults. That's how we talk to each other. If you don't want to talk to someone that way, then basically you're a malevolent child. You're an evil child. Because that's not mature. That's like punk kid stuff. So yeah. I'm gonna rate this I'm gonna give it a silent count and not rate it because it's too powerful, too important, and too personal. It seems a little unfair. Another song that I would say that about would be I Thought I Knew It All by Megadeth. Because that's another one that's like super powerful. Songs like that are just like deeply powerful personal messages, I feel should not be rated. It seems unfair. Now, that is not to say that songs that are personal can't be rated, but if it's something really deep and personal and just like straight from the soul or straight from the heart or whatever, should not be rated. They should be treated fairly as what they are. Crucial messages to a listening audience. And that should be validated because it is valid. So I will not rate that. The song itself is 4 out of 5. The lyrics are untouchable. That's a silent count. With that being said, there will be a link in the description below to my books. Please buy, download, read them, and as always, choose peace.